2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday the 30th of November and it's National Computer Security Day. And a big happy birthday to Ridley Scott, Mia Goth, Gary Lineker and Lorraine Kelly. Cast your mind back to the glorious reign of Nadine Dorries, romance novelist and Boris's biggest fan, who also served as the Secretary of State for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport for a full year. In between making plans to sell Channel 4 and comparing the BBC unfavourably to GB News, she was responsible for the Online Safety Bill, which promised dramatic changes to the kind of content you or your kids could access online. Now that Nadine's melted away, new Secretary of State for DMCS Michelle Donnellan is introducing a new version of the bill without the phrase harmful but not illegal, which caused issues around free speech.
It had very, very concerning impact potentially on free speech. There were unintended consequences associated with it. It was really the anchor that was preventing this bill from getting off the ground. Labour's Jonathan Ashworth was welcoming the new bill, but shared a cautionary tale of just how difficult it might be to guarantee age verification online.
Well, I mean, let's see. I mean, I just know from my own personal experience as a father that, you know, my 9-year-old, I found out, had set herself up a TikTok account and she was dancing on it. And then she was dancing on my own TikTok account. Although, in fairness, I did get a message from TikTok telling me I'd been suspended because my 9-year-old had been using my MP account to post pictures of herself dancing to Little Mix. So,
worryingly, Technology Minister Paul Scully doesn't seem clear on how the new rules will be enforced by the platforms.
We want them to enforce their own rules. And
if they don't enforce those rules, what will happen?
If they don't have to, and they have no system in place to do that, they can be fined up to 10% of their global turnover.
Energy's all the rage these days. Between soaring prices, shaky supplies and a push for more use of renewable energy, it's difficult to know what comes next. Onshore and offshore wind farms definitely have potential as a clean source of power, but the government's still maintaining its ban on new onshore wind farms, with Energy Secretary Grant Shapps describing the turbines as too big to be built on land. His claims come as the government announced that it's plunging back into nuclear energy, with yet another announcement of plans for the Sizewell C nuclear plant cleared for launch.
As Energy Secretary, I think that mix of having nuclear, of having wind, of having solar, of having various different forms of power is critically important.
The project will go ahead without any investment from the Chinese government, but climate and energy expert Richard Black says by the time it's built in 10 years, it may be too late.
There are stacks of studies out there showing that with enough storage and enough demand response and enough interconnection, you can actually have a 100% renewable fleet.
As protests continue in China over COVID lockdowns, the mood in the West has shifted to a much more negative view of the Far Eastern powerhouse. With the government buying out the Chinese investment in Sizewell C and the ongoing rows over mobile phone company Huawei, it wasn't entirely surprising to hear Prime Minister Rishi Sunak declare that the UK's relationship with China is entering a new phase.
Now let's be clear, the so-called golden era is over, along with the naive idea that trade would automatically lead to social and political reform.
Tory MP Bob Seeley, who sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee, agrees with his boss and says that the West really needs to consider how economically dependent it is on China.
China uses trade for power in a way that we don't, and naively we don't really quite understand either.
Russia's continuing strikes on Ukraine's power grid have done serious damage. The country as a whole is suffering from a 30% shortage of electricity, and the ongoing attacks have left Ukrainian energy companies struggling to find enough spare parts to manage repairs. At a NATO foreign ministers meeting in Bucharest on Tuesday, there was an appeal for further assistance and generators from its European neighbours. Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg also took the opportunity to reiterate NATO's ongoing support for Ukraine.
President Putin is trying to use winter as a weapon of war, which is inflicting a lot of suffering on the Ukrainian people.
Still to come on the Smart 7, 3 Lions, 3 goals, and Kath Hahn had a very odd teenage crush. Right after this. Welcome back.
The World Cup stumbles on in Qatar, with Group A and Group B wrapping up their opening stages on Tuesday. Host nation Qatar were knocked out with 3 losses and 1 goal, while Senegal and the Netherlands both headed through to the next round. Group B saw the US facing Iran and England facing Wales. The US beat Iran 1-0 to progress to the next round, and after much agonising, Gareth Southgate finally actually played Phil Foden, and the Man City player grabbed a goal along with 2 from Marcus Rashford to see the game finish England 3, Wales 0. Southgate's men will face Senegal next, while Wales and the injured Gareth Bale head home. Marcus Rashford spoke about that free kick after the game.
Do you know what? I fancied one in the first half, but to be fair, the one in the second half was in a better position. And you know, from there it's just about being calm and just trying to execute what you practice in training. You don't go in often, but I'm pleased that I went in today.
Catherine Hahn is more than just that iconic knowing wink meme, she's having quite a run of success. From Agatha in WandaVision to her own spin-off show The Coven of Chaos and a starring role in Glass Onion, the Knives Out sequel, she's pretty hot right now. However, she sure had some interesting teenage crushes, as she explained to Jimmy Kimmel.
When I was a kid, we would go out there and I was always like, I loved an Amish boy. Like, I did. Oh, such crushes on all the Amish boys for some reason.
All the Amish boys.
Because I just was like, look at them, like, I just wanted to be on a farm with horses, I just wanted to be in a freaking silo with an Amish boy.
Here's a quick question. Can you describe the plot of the original Avatar movie? I know there was loads of water, blue guys, and the fact that it's the biggest box office hit of all time, but what the hell was it actually about? Hold on, before we get swamped by Avatar fanboys, the long-awaited sequel Avatar The Way of the Water's bearing down on us like an iceberg on the Titanic, and the cast are busy doing plenty of publicity in advance of its December release. Zoe Saldana's playing Neytiri, but she says the audition process was pretty tough.
One time they called me in and I put myself on tape again for them, and they were like, just make all these sounds. I'm like, what kind of sounds? I'm like, well, okay.
You're like, what is this
and I'm
movie
thinking,
remotely?
Like, James Cameron, a robot warrior princess that's in a jungle, and I'm doing rolling my R's. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I dig it.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.